So, Fume, sorry, my hair is distracting me. What are you working on right now?
I'm working on several things. So, I'm a freelance editor, and um, I do editing for Two Halves Agency, and they're contracted, or their client is Onyx Collective. Onyx Collective is owned by Disney, and they have a lot of productions currently on Hulu right now. So we do social media in short form assets.
Yeah, they have the show with the lawyer.
Reasonable Doubt.
Reasonable Doubt. And then the new one that Kerry Washington's going to be on, is it Unprisoned?
Unprisoned, exactly. Yep, Unprisoned. So we do short form content, social media to promote those shows. And I also have a contract with this other company, and I edit videos for them. And so while I do that, I'm still looking for a long form documentary project because I really like taking on long form. I love being able to have work in between and to be consistently working. So in addition to work in between, I want a long form project.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. Yeah, I was on Instagram and I saw the trailer for Unprisoned, which maybe you'll do some promo for. Promo videos. And I saw that her production company was tagged, and I didn't realize she had a production company, Simpson Street. Go ahead, Carrie. You and your husband are doing the things.
Yeah, they're doing great.
Are you hiring?
Right. Period. Kerry Washington is executive producing and directing now, along with still acting. So she's doing the dang.
She is getting all of the checks, which
period.
I love.
In this economy.
Rooting for everybody black.
Yes. Shout out Issa.
Yeah.
Not first name basis.
Yes. Okay. This is the point where you ask me.
Oh,
it's the Fumi Show.
Thank you for the interview. I'm playing. I'm so glad to be here. No.
While touching her hair. Classic. I'm so glad to be here move.
But so, what are you working on currently?
It's kind of funny that you asked me because I ain't working on nothing. I'd like to be though. I'd like to be. So I kind of planned it because of all my travels at the end of the year. I kind of planned to not work in January, though I did work like 2 gigs in January, which reminds me, my boss just sent me the article for what we worked on.
Oh, okay.
I'll look at that after this. But, I worked on 2 jobs in January. And things have been incredibly slow, and I haven't worked on anything in February, so I've been applying.
What jobs, just to remind people, what type of position?
My name is Deidre. I'm a Leo. I like long walks on the beach, and I am a production coordinator. I've also been an office PA. I also am a production manager for smaller projects. Also a producer. I mean, it's all really in the same wheelhouse. Really, it just depends on the project and the budget. It's all the same wheelhouse. So yeah, basically a coordinator is like, okay, so let's say you're shooting a commercial for Dove. Dove's agency will hire a production company to really manage the physical production of the commercial. And by physical production of the commercial, I mean the actual shooting of the commercial. So once, money has been paid and everything is in place, basically a coordinator helps to make sure that all the crew is hired. That's lighting, camera, PAs, all that. They also make sure that there's food on set. They also make sure all the paperwork is in for any equipment that can be needed and for location. They basically make sure that the shoot is able to happen and that it's happening and that people are being fed and then at the end that people are paid. It's basically the short and long of it. So yeah. But yeah, so I'm just looking. I'm looking for anything available. I'm looking for full-time opportunities. I'm just looking. And then, of course, I also have my job at the yoga studio, which I work part-time.
And so currently,
how am I eating? Great that you asked. No.
Yeah, let's get into that.
So how do I make money at this time? And I don't. So usually a lot of freelancers, fun fact, are also on unemployment, depending on how much they make, because work is so sporadic and sometimes there will be periods of no work. And so during those times you are qualified to file for unemployment. Like a lot of times, like directors, especially big directors, will only do like 2 movies a year, you know? And let's say for those 2 movies, I'm gonna say a smaller number to make it more feasible. So let's say for those 2 movies, they're making like $20,000. If it's a big time director, they're making way more than that. But this is just so that it's an understandable number. So if you think about it, and if they're only making 2 movies a year, and let's say they're working with $50,000 between 2 movies, they have to make that stretch. So in the movie business or in the entertainment business, you do make money. I don't want that to be confused. But it's not consistent in the way that like a traditional 9-to-5 would be, or something like that. So you have to spread it out. So let's say they made $50,000 in the year, or $100,000 or $1 million. That's great money, but it has to last you until your next project. So truthfully, a lot of us in the entertainment business struggle or live, in a sense, paycheck to paycheck. Now it might be 6 months between the paychecks, but so it's a different type of lifestyle, which does make a lot of people uneasy, and it is something to get used to because it's not the continual money like a traditional like 9-to-5 would be. I hope that makes sense. I'm trying to explain this the best that I can. So right now, we are in a slow period. So during this time, of course, savings. I also have a part-time job. I'm also looking for other jobs. So it's like the hustle while it's slow before it picks up again. It's a lifestyle.
Yeah, the freelance lifestyle. I agree with everything you said. It's important to save when you are making money for when things slow down or when your job ends. Even if there's like a gap, let's say you do get a job right after your job ends, it could be a gap between those jobs. Like that job might not start till 3 weeks or a month or 2 months, so you need to have money in between those times as well.
Yeah, and it's the same thing, newsflash, for celebrities. That is why a lot of celebrities have multiple, hustles. They have a hair care line, they're a producer, they own an auto parts company. Super random, but I'm just being honest, because in between those projects, they still have to make money. They have, bigger bills and larger bills and, large houses. So it's the same thing that we deal with, just on a larger scale.
Great way of putting it.
Yeah. I think I remember during COVID when, I'm sorry, I keep cutting you off.
Oh, no, go ahead.
And Gabrielle Union was like, a lot of us are one paycheck away from being homeless. She was being completely honest. Like, COVID was affecting everybody. And, in its own way still is. But like, it's the same thing. Like, you ain't working, you ain't making money. So you have to have other streams.
Yeah.
Streams.
Multiple streams of income. Yeah, and it's interesting because the industry currently, like Dee was saying, is pretty slow right now. So I'm running into a lot of people that are looking for jobs, whether it's producers, coordinators, editors, PAs,
production assistants.
Someone hit me up looking for a job, and I'm hitting people up looking for a long-form documentary job. Or I'm going to start hitting more people up. That's something else we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
How it's important to stay in touch with people and let them know you're looking for work or you're available for work. A lot of tech companies are laying people off, and then streaming companies are cutting shows and yeah, canceling shows. And in addition to that, they're saying there might be a writer's strike. So things have slowed down, and people are hoping it picks back up. I'm not entirely sure of when and how and all that. But yeah, it's kind of slow right now. Everybody throughout the industry is talking about it.
Yeah. How does that make you feel as far as like being an editor? Like, how does that make you feel working in this industry and knowing like things could be put on like pause?
I feel currently okay, but if it were to continue for a much longer time, then I would be worried. What I'm more worried about is getting because I'm able to like find different things to work on, but what I'm more worried about is finding a long form project, because I want to do a documentary. I want to do a documentary series or a documentary feature or another scripted feature film. That's what I want to work on. And so if it continues to take a long time to get something like that, I am already a little bit worried about that, but I'm able to find jobs in between.
For me, I just take it day by day. I try not to think about it too deeply. I think too, like after a while you become used to this lifestyle. And so, I went through the phase of like not sleeping, just stressing about it. But what I've realized is like at the end of the day, everything always works out. Also, I'm not someone to really sit on my hands for too long. Like once the bank account starts to deplete, I'm gonna go do something to like DoorDash or Uber. I'm not talking about nothing crazy. Just I've heard where that was going, and I just want y'all to know I'm not the one. But I mean, or the two. But yeah, I will go, by any means necessary, get a little side job. I worked at Starbucks for 30 days. Okay, I wouldn't do it again, but if I had to, I probably still wouldn't do it, but I would figure something out. And so that's what I mean. Like I'm definitely like a hustler by nature. And so I'm always going to figure something out.
Yeah, me too. I'm a hustler.
And I feel like that's a lot of the way you got to be to make it out here in LA and to make it in this business. You got to hustle, whether that be reaching out to people or whether that be going out here and getting you a part-time, seasonal, temporary job. Something's got to give,
Let's talk about reaching out to people.
Oh, the thing that I don't do?
Yeah, so me and I don't really do either. Me and Dee were talking earlier, and I was telling her how I was talking to this editor who is, he's an accomplished editor. He's been editing for over 10, 12 years. And he was telling me how he always reaches out to people and lets them know when he's available to work. So like if he's currently working on a job, he'll reach out to people and be like, hey, I'm on this job, but I'm gonna be finishing up around this time. Or like if he's looking for something to work on, he'll hit up somebody and just say he's available. Or if he knows a particular show is coming out but it's not in post-production yet, he'll try to reach out to the producers and tell them like, hey, I'm interested in this show, I'd love to edit it. And another editor I met at the American Cinema Editors Holiday Party. He was telling me that I was like, we're talking about what we're working on, and he said he was finishing up on a show, some like popular show on a network, and he was like, yeah, but I don't have another job lined up, so I got to start reaching out to people. And I was like, oh, who do you reach out to? And he was like, post supervisors. And post supervisors manage post production and do like the hiring for that. It's like, that's how you word it. Okay.
Yeah.
And so
it's the same thing with production managers.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And so he said he'll reach out to post supervisors or other people he's worked with and just let them know like, hey, I'm available, or do you know of anything, blah blah blah. And I realized I didn't do that. I do it sometimes, but I don't do it on a consistent basis.
Nope.
And the editor was telling me, like, if you reach out to 20 people, maybe 2 people will be like, hey, yeah, I'm doing this and this. Like, are you interested? Or, Yeah. So I was like, I need to do that. Like, what in the world?
Same, and I have a lot of, I keep saying production manager. Production manager is the same thing as a production supervisor, just to clarify. Have a lot of production supervisors saved in my phone. Like, I can simply just send text.
Yeah, like the same. I'm like, what? And sometimes they reach out to me, but I remember I was like busy at the time. But I'm like, I need to be reaching out to them.
Yeah.
And you know what happened? This is, so during 2020, I moved to LA in 2020, and everybody was trying to hire Black people in 2020 on projects.
Ooh.
Because of, Black Lives Matter, everything. Everybody was trying to hire Black women. So like Black editors, and then if you're a Black and you're a woman, they're like really trying to get you. So I had people reaching out to me all the time, and I was like, I guess I'm in that thing, like, dang it. And then stuff slowed down.
And Speak on it.
And I should have been reaching out to people more.
Do you think that people are no longer looking to hire Black?
Another editor told me they are still looking to hire lots of Black people, because I think a lot of Black editors I know, especially in the scripted world, they consistently are working, but they also have a lot of credits on their resume. They've been in LA longer than me. I'm still kind of freshly new to LA, and I think my thing is I need to be reaching out to people more.
Same. Also, just to give you guys some understanding, so pre-production and production is where I work. Fumi works in post, which is post-production. So,
editing.
And she's an editor. And so that's kind of like the timeline of a project. It's the pre-production, production, post-production. So just so you guys have an understanding, I work in pre and production, and she works in post. Yes. Hope that makes sense. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of different components, and we hope with more of our videos we'll be able to explain everything in layman's terms. So the way most projects work is it starts with pre-production, goes into production, which is physical production, the actual shooting of the project, and then post-production, where it is the end of the project. So let me explain everything. So pre-production, you can think like preconception. It's the idea being formulated, the scripts being written, the storyline being drawn, money, setup, all of that stuff is in pre-production, all that stuff.
Scheduling,
equipment, hiring, all that's in pre-production. So let's say you have a script. Let's make it really simple. Let's say like, who jumped over the fence? What was that? Was it the cow?
The cow jumped over the moon.
The cow jumped over the moon or the fence? It's not important. Let's say Theodore is a dog who wants to jump over the fence. That's the entire movie, right? So the idea that I just came up with is all pre-production. That's it. Getting it ready to be shot. That is pre. Production is the physical production. That is the day you come to the location to shoot Theodore jumping over the fence. Everything that goes into that. Getting Theodore ready, getting the fence ready, the grass, everything. Making sure you have the right camera. Putting the idea to actual film, that is production. When you are shooting, you should have memory cards. Is that what they're called? Memory cards. So post-production is literally taking what you filmed and creating it into the movie of Theodore the dog jumping over the fence. And in post-production, that's coloring, that's lighting, that's music, that's sounds, that's putting it all together to become the final product that was thought about in pre-production. So that's how anything that you watch, it's how it works.
Great way of breaking that down. And I love that you chose Theodore as the name. Editing is taking the footage that was shot on set and organizing the footage, syncing it with the audio, if the audio was recorded externally, which it usually is, which means you have to sync the video and audio, then you have to organize the files and break everything down, and then you start to string out a story with the footage. And so editing is basically storytelling. And in documentary, a lot of time you have, well, almost all the time, you have lots of freedom as an editor to build the story, because there's not a set script like in scripted. And scripted is narrative and fiction. And so in documentary, the editor is really playing a pretty big role as a storyteller and helping to create a beautiful story. And so that also includes adding music, sound effects. Sometimes editors will add temporary visual effects. If they know how to do visual effects, they might do the visual effects.
What are visual effects?
Visual effects is like if you want to show like an alien that's CGI, or like fire that's not real or something.
What's CGI?
CGI stands for computer generated imagery, and that's basically Avatar.
Basically.
Right? We're good too. Dee's a great producer and coordinator. I'm a great producer and editor
and director and cinematographer, but she be playing.
So it's like we should have our like a Tyler Perry. We should be we'll be very soon having millions of dollars. And
amen.
We'll be the go-to people for productions.
You heard it here first. So, go-to people for productions.
Fum N Dee.
How do you feel now? Like, we kind of did what we said we wanted to do, more or less. You're an editor in LA. How does it make you feel?
Good. I'm very happy and grateful to be in LA and to be editing and working. I'm very happy and grateful. It's been, I was in Austin working and hustling and editing and producing for over 10 years. So I feel like all that prepared me for LA. And I specifically decided to focus on editing when I moved to LA, because I thought that would be easier in terms of getting jobs, because I didn't want to necessarily produce. But now, and so I'm happy I chose editing. But now I'm also editing and also producing some of my own projects, or sometimes I help. Sometimes companies hire me to produce projects for them. So I'm grateful.
That's great. Ask me.
Oh my God.
One-way
Whoa,
interview.
we gotta cut this out, because I want people to think.
All she cares about is herself.
So, how do you feel being here in LA? You've been here, what now, 5 years?
Almost 5.
Okay, so yeah, you've been here almost 5 years. How do you feel about making the big move to LA and how you're doing and everything?
Do y'all want honesty?
Yes.
It's definitely very up and down. I will say overall I'm grateful, but I'm a very always thinking about the next kind of person, and I'm trying to be more present. I'm happy that I moved to LA and I did it. I said that I wanted to move to LA, and literally I spoke life to that, and it happened. And I'm here and I'm working in the industry I came here to work in. And I'm able to take care of myself and do things and enjoy my life. And for that, I am happy and grateful, and it's wonderful. But I can't lie, this period of not working is not great. You do worry about money and what's going to happen next. And, I'm just praying for the time to come when I don't have to worry about money in the same way. It's difficult. Being in LA is definitely, not recommended for all. It's just totally different, It's totally different from the South, which I moved here from the South, which I love. It's totally different from the East Coast, where I grew up. So it's just, it's different. And knowing that you have a goal and that goal is more important than the other things that you're sacrificing is a lot mentally, like not being around family regularly and not being in a more affordable city or area, or with, more hospitable people. Because people in LA, like, there's some like not great people in LA. So it's like, in the South, people are overwhelmingly friendly, and it's just not like that here. So I feel like there are a lot of small sacrifices for the bigger picture, and sometimes, it's just difficult coming to terms with, like, I'm doing this for a greater purpose, for a greater reason, and I'm sacrificing all of these things, and I'm having all of these things that are uncomfortable because of the end goal. And I see why people don't move to LA. And I see why people return to where it's safer or more comfortable or more affordable. So I don't want it to seem like I'm naive to that, and like life is great all the time, because it's not. It has its moments. So I struggle, but I'm happy.